Hi, I'm Rachel Lancaster, and this is the Magnificent Midlife Podcast. This is where we celebrate women in midlife and beyond. We challenge the status quo and bash those negative stereotypes about being an older woman. We're not over the hill at 40, 50, 60. We're just getting started, and the world needs us now more than ever. I'll be talking all things midlife and sharing some fabulous stories of amazing women doing very cool stuff. Now's our time. My guest today is Amy Sutter. Now, Amy is a very interesting woman. She is a fitness instructor, and she became, at the tender age of 48, a professional bodybuilder. How about that? So, Amy, welcome.
Thank you so much, Rachel. I'm so excited to be here. Appreciate your time.
It's fantastic to have you here. So I'm going to start off with asking, how on earth did you come to be doing what you do? How did you come to be a professional bodybuilder at the age of 48?
I often contemplate that same question, because if someone were to tell me years in advance that I would have reached this goal at 48, I'd have thought they were crazy, right? I mean, most of us would, but because I had it not even on my radar. So I'll try to condense the answer, but years ago, I started competing in 2010, but even then, this goal kind of came to me. I had finished up a master's up at Pratt Institute in Manhattan, and my classmates, several were from all over the world, and one of which was from India, and she invited me after we graduated to join her family over in India and experience her country. And I was like, if you're not kidding, I'm coming, graduation present to self. So went over there, had a fabulous time, got back day after my 37th birthday, started running crazy chills and body aches. The next thing I know, 15 days in the hospital, life-threatening, not a good scenario. So didn't almost make it to age 38. So let's just start with that. So in my quest to get over what ended up being some parasites that I brought back with me from that lovely country, that my body didn't like them, in getting my stamina back and really trying to have a new goal to get back to my fitness level, I set my sights on running the New York Marathon. Having been in that city, it's my favorite city in the States, and I was like, if I'm going to do a marathon, I am going to do that one. So started training for that, got up to running 16 miles straight, and tried to get in through the lottery system and did not. So I'm all about a cause, but I just did not have the time alongside my corporate career at that given moment to raise the kind of funds. It was gonna be a separate job to do that. So I totally changed gears. And as an artist, graphics is my background, and I creatively paint as well. I was like, you know what? I've always had an appreciation for the sport of bodybuilding, because it's, have the two anatomy, and it's like sculpture when these people manipulate their bodies to get that chiseled look. So I was like, you know what? I'm totally changing gears. I am finally going to do a bodybuilding competition. So really, it was a goal to just get back to my fitness stamina and celebrate that, right? And it, through the adversity of getting, this craziness out of India, it really brought me to that goal. So then next thing I know, I'm on a 9-year journey, and finally this past November, it all came together. But yeah, so that's kind of how I started, or how I got to where I am.
So tell us about you won a big competition, is that right? Tell us about
that. Right. So the competition, so there's all kinds of different national level competitions that I've been going to in this quest. And the main one is kind of the Super Bowl of the amateur level, is called Nationals, and it's in Miami. So this past November was my 4th consecutive year going down there. And why I kept going back to Miami is each competition has its different stipulations for awarding or being able to win your pro card, is what they call it, right?
Yeah.
With the IFBB, the International Federation of Bodybuilding, that's the pro circuit. So this particular event, you're tied to a weight class, but the age was open. So I could have gone up against an 18-year-old or a 90-year-old in terms of age, right? But at this particular event, you could win your weight class and earn that pro status or that pro card, the coveted pro card, right? Other events for female bodybuilding, because there's several categories in bodybuilding, but I'm in the bodybuilding category. Other events, you would have to then not only win your weight class, but go on to take out the other weight class winners at the heavier weight classes, which I've done for other events. But, you know, you're basically cutting the requirement in half. So Miami was my best opportunity. So I kept going back there. But it's something, I tell you what, when you go down and you're this close and you fall short and have to, you know, I always celebrated my competitors win. I always made friends with the other competitors, because this is an individual sport and you can't control who shows up. All you can do is bring your next better best each time you hit the stage. So anyway, but to fall short and have to leave and come back, or set your sights on the same goal to achieve again, takes some mindset, and it takes some real, you know, strong desire and drive, and that repetitive re-motivating yourself, right? So for it to all come to fruition as of this past November, like I said, the total journey was 9 years, but that fourth time, it all aligning down at that venue on that stage, it was just such a release and validation.
That's amazing. I just think that's fantastic. I love that story. So 4 years you had to go back, but by going there, you could get the double whammy of winning the competition and turning pro.
Right.
So what does turning pro mean now? What does that mean for you?
Okay, so it's like any other, if you look at any other sport, right? Let's go with tennis. I'm a huge tennis fan. I used to play a lot of tennis. In fact, I'm so excited that Wimbledon is going on right now, okay? I'll get there one day, not yet. But anyway, so in tennis, you start as an amateur, right? And you can only really get trophies at that level, right? Then when you turn pro, you're now in the professional league of your sport, and you've got all different endorsement opportunities. You can be awarded cash prizes at the pro level. So another similar thing would be a collegiate athlete playing football, getting in the NFL. You know, it's now a whole different ballgame. You're on the pro circuit. So, and you're going up against the other professionals, right? So that's the main thing. Another big difference, though, if you remember in describing the national event in Miami, where it was open in terms of age, but I was tied to a weight class. Mm-hmm. Now it's completely open. So whoever shows up for female bodybuilding is who I'm going up against.
Wow.
And so age doesn't matter, and their size doesn't matter. So I'm excited to stay in bodybuilding, because I'm trying to keep that part of the sport alive. There's also bikini, there's figure, there's fitness, and physique, which all have different style physiques that you're building, and different posing requirements to showcase those physiques. But I really want to stay in bodybuilding because they're trying to phase it out, and I want to try to keep it alive. But also, I was told that the bigger girls, size isn't always the thing that makes you the winner. If you have a lot of muscle mass, but you're not showing the definition, then you're not going to win. So as a lighter weight competitor, that's in my favor to just really come in totally chiseled up. So it's pretty exciting.
So how tall are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, let me tell you, I am vertically challenged. I am 5'1" and 3/4. But they feel sorry for me, so they raise it, they round it up on my driver's license to 5'2". But that's actually in a bodybuilder's favor. And I don't know if you've ever seen some of the muscle magazines when you're traveling through the airport or in the grocery store or wherever, but typically there's a guy on the cover and they look massive, right? Well, most of those guys are my height.
Really?
And yeah. So having that shorter stature allows your muscles to go this way, right? If you're a tall person, you've got longer legs or longer arms, your muscles are going to be more, longer. They're not going to be as compact and be able to be more aesthetically massive, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
wow. So what's your mission? You've talked about wanting to keep bodybuilding alive. What is your mission?
Well, my mission, actually, I started a business as a result of getting into competitive bodybuilding. So after my first season competing in 2011, or right as I was entering into that next competition preparation, I wanted to have a visual trigger, because typically I was getting up at what I call 0 dark 30, the wee hours of the morning, to get to the gym and get my training in before the bulk of the day started, right? And I wanted to have some kind of visual trigger that was a constant reminder of what the goal was, or what my quest was. So it was in the forefront of my mind. And so I actually put together a necklace. I'm actually wearing it. I don't know if these 3 charms. So there's a cross. This is a Navajo symbol. It means the fire within, and a barbell, which was part of my first winnings when I took my first overall win, when I did take out the heavyweight back in 2010. So that was pretty cool. But anyway, so my message to myself in that moment of having that positive visual trigger was that you have to have strong faith, the fire within, to build true inner strength. Because if your head, first and foremost, is not in the game, then your heart's not going to, it's going to follow, your heart, your soul is going to follow wherever the mind is set. So this became my mojo training necklace. People would ask me about it in the gym. I was like, oh, this is my mojo training necklace. Helps me keep on point for the goals I'm reaching. Well, they're like, you really should do something with that. Develop a concept, something. So I started thinking about mojo, which is a term used a lot in sports, especially if you're watching tennis like I'm currently doing. Brad Gilbert, he says mojo a half a dozen times throughout the fortnight of an event. But it kind of goes across sports. And then I got to think about motivation, and I blended the two, because mojo is kind of that supernatural ability, right? And your gift to accomplish whatever you're motivated to do. So I blended the two together to come up with mojo-tivation. And I say mojo-tivation, positive power, because this is my source of positive power to keep me on point. So I started making other similar necklaces like this and going to different bodybuilding events and sporting events. I've gone to triathlon events, running events. And then I'm graphics is my background, as I mentioned, and I did my own logo and had some apparel. So really just all those can be positive visual triggers to help other people keep themselves motivated, because motivation really is a self-based thing that you have to do. So my mission is to just help people motivate themselves and learn how to continuously craft their own mojo to keep themselves motivated for that next goal and to strive to become that stronger version of themselves.
Sounds like you and I are very much in the same business, because that's what everything that I'm doing is about. And the whole sort of the midlife bit, is when women lose a lot of their mojo. They kind of get a bit lost in the middle, and they lose that sense of who they are and their power and their strength. So I love that. I think we all need to get our mojo-tivation necklaces, and then we can all go out and do things and just smash down those barriers and things.
Exactly.
I love
it.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah. So I actually have a line of items that are engravable. So I call it What's Yo Mojo. So you can actually, tell me what a word or make an acronym, phrase. It just depends on what the item is and how much would fit on there. But I partner with an engraver to do that. And I actually did one for myself for this year. You know how you probably saw several challenges out there at the beginning of the year where people are like, okay, what's your word for this year?
Yeah.
Right. Again, a way to stay motivated. Right.
Yeah.
So I actually made my word into a couple different acronyms. But right after I reached my goal back in November down in Miami and became pro, and I was sharing it with all the people who had supported me throughout that 9-year journey, because there were some people that saw me begin the journey and were with me throughout, right? I mean, lots of them, and then ones that popped in along the way. But what was so much fun was I actually got a trophy, right, for this win. And it's a pretty substantial trophy. And I took the trophy on tour, okay? I called it the Sutter Girl Trophy Tour. And the whole point was to go celebrate and show my gratitude and appreciation for those people helping me remain motivated. Because like I said, I fell short several different times. I mean, I had a lot of other little successes along the way towards this ultimate goal that they were a part of too. But they were there to encourage me when I was so close, right? So it was so cool to just take the tour and let them be a part of it and let them share in it, because it was their trophy just as much as it was mine. Probably my favorite person that I celebrated that with, though, was my first ever fitness mentor, who she owned a jazzercise studio in Clemson, the town of Clemson, where I went to Clemson University for my undergrad. And I was getting close. I was going to graduate December of 92. And I had put on some weight. You know, I was active and I've always been into sports, but I had no idea how to eat right. So I was packing on some pounds, even though I was as active as I was. And so I went to her and I was doing the jazzercise thing and trying to lean out so I could graduate and get a job, right? And about a month into it, just wasn't seeing the results. So I went to Verna, is her name. I said, Verna, help a sister out here. I'm trying, but it's just not happening. What do I need to do? Well, she took me under her wing, and she didn't just say, well, do this, this, and this. She said, let's make this a project. And here's what I want you to do. Go get your base numbers like cholesterol, what's your current fat percentage, lean percentage, all those kind of things. And let's, you know, start looking at how you're eating and work our way to this goal before graduation. And she helped me. I dropped like 20 pounds and reached that goal in time for me to graduate. So I actually surprised her. We've kept in touch over all these years. So she knew I was competing, but she did not know I had reached that ultimate goal. So I popped into her studio in Clemson with the trophy and was like, this is yours, because I would not have necessarily even ever gotten into fitness if she hadn't taken time out of her life to share in mine. So that was so sweet to do. But all that to say, back to the engraving part, I got this goal achieved and people were so excited, but then it was like, okay, so what's next? And I'm at one part like, can y'all just not let a sister relish in the moment? You know, it's taken 9 years. I kind of just want to just relish in this moment right now. But, you know, that is the next question. What is next? So I started thinking about just how I felt in that moment and how, since I've reached my ultimate goal, really everything from here. I mean, do I want to be competitive in the pro circuit? Sure. But everything from here is gravy, right? And gravy makes everything taste better, right? So my first little fun acronym with the word next is now everything's extra tasty. Okay. But the more serious side of it is nothing's ever unknown, X being the symbol for unknown, trust. So I don't believe that I'm just a puppet being led on a string through life, but I do believe, I have a Christian background, and I do believe that the good Lord knows how my life is going to play out. And that's why nothing's ever unknown. And I just need to take those next steps and trust that those steps are going to lead me in the path that I'm meant to go. So that's kind of just an example of how somebody could put together something for themselves to keep them on point. And I actually wear that bracelet every day. So that's kind of just another way to the motivation works for other people as well.
Fantastic. Wow, what a story. That's brilliant. I like that. So when you were starting out on the bodybuilding side of things, were you a fitness instructor then?
Yes. So after my first encounter with Verna in jazzercise, and I graduated, I did score a job. I had a job before I even graduated. It's fantastic. But I took in a little town in South Carolina. I'm actually from Atlanta, Georgia originally, but South Carolina is where I ended up out of school. And it's like I said, very small town. And the biggest highlight, and I live like right across the street from it, was the YMCA. So my extracurricular time was spent at the YMCA lifting weights and going to the different fitness classes. Cause I mean, I got hooked when I was going to jazzercise, and I wanted to keep that up. I didn't want to stop because I had gotten the really good results. Right. And plus I think in that, I didn't realize it right then, but I believe that I was inspired by Verna to want to pay that forward. Right.
Yeah.
So I started going to the Y, was at the classes all the time. And that introduced me to my next fitness mentor, who was the aerobics director of the YMCA. And her name was Ivy. And Ivy, at a given point, after several months, she's like, girl, you just need to get certified. You could be teaching this stuff and you're here all the time. So you might as well make a little extra something, you know? So that inspired me to get my certification to become a group fitness instructor. And I did that through the American Council on Exercise, or ACE. So, so again, somebody else encouraging me and motivating me to take that next step, and really giving me that opportunity to pay it forward. Because now I was the instructor. I could help people who were struggling with their weight, or with just getting the results because they didn't know what they didn't know. So, yeah.
So was there anything that you had to change about yourself to be able to do what you've done and achieve your goal?
Yes. The main thing that I needed to change, and I knew this from the get-go, and why I was really seeking out coaches. I didn't really know anything about the sport, so I needed someone who could be my guide. But the main component was really back to that nutritional piece. Verna helped me get a better grasp on how to properly eat to, fuel my body and keep within a weight range. But it's a whole different ball game when you're trying to take your body to where you're building the muscle, and then you're able to really showcase and reveal it and define it and chisel it, if you will. So I really needed them to instruct me as to what does that look like for a competitive situation. So I basically had to learn how to eat in the pattern that you need to eat, the right things to eat, and also just the best way to prepare it, because it actually is such a time saver. It is a great lifestyle once I got into the mode of it, and I would have never necessarily thought about this at all. But if you have a prep day, which with anything, if you have a plan, you have to have some kind of preparation for the execution of that plan, right? So having a prep day in the week to basically cook in bulk your protein, at least your protein, the main thing, the main building block of muscle, then you're ready to go, right? And then you just pull and plug and go about your day. Because when you're eating 5 to 6 times a day, you don't have time to be sitting around thinking about what your next meal is going to be. You need to know what it is and be able to pretty much either whip it up if it's something quick, like, I like to do my breakfast fresh or my tuna or something. But for the other part, like grilled chicken, that kind of thing, it's nice to just be able to pull it and go. So it was just a change of lifestyle based on that component alone. But that was really the main thing I needed to change and understand and educate myself so I could have the right kind of preparation.
And I bet that's massive, isn't it? Because, I used to live in New York.
Okay.
I was there for 3.5 years. And I know that it's not easy to eat healthily on the go in America, right, is it? Right. And you're having to eat really good stuff. So right. I guess you've got to prepare it all yourself pretty much. You can't eat out very much.
Pretty much. But I'll tell you, when I was still in my corporate career, I was on an airplane a lot. So, and, with the corporate situation, you have stipends for different meals, right? But I was like, I can't be getting 5 meals on the company a day. That's just not ethical where I come from, at least with my mind and my thinking. So I was taking chicken breasts through security, girl. I was freezing stuff. And they were like, okay, what are you doing? But, but when you have a goal, I think sometimes we make them so complicated, but really I looked at it from even when I just in how or why I hired my coaches. If my coaches are the experts, they know what they're doing. That's why they're in the mix. And then if they tell me that A plus B is going to equal C, and C is what I'm trying to achieve, then I just need to do A plus B to get to C. So if that being the main component was that critical, which it was, then I was going to do it at all costs. So that's why I packed it up and had it ready to go and took it on an airplane. But in the same, you're talking about it's hard to eat out at other restaurants, no matter where you are. Really, it's not. They have the ingredients. You just need to guide the people in what you need. Now, they ain't going to charge anything less, probably, even though you're asking for less, maybe. But they have all the ingredients. You just need to tell them how to clean it up. So, sometimes people seclude themselves in trying to achieve their goal. And that's just not my personality. I'm too much of a people person. I was like, I'm not going to go live in a cave while I become a bodybuilder. That's just not realistic. And where's the fun in that, right? So you just make it work. So yeah.
And you've talked about all the support you've had. How did family and friends react? Were they generally all supportive? Was there anybody who said, what on earth are you doing?
I think that probably most of them, because I think they shared this with me later on, might have questioned the sport and the choice, but they never questioned my intention or my desire to get there, and were just totally like, okay, we're with you. Go for it. Go do it. We're there, and we're going to support you no matter what. So I am beyond fortunate in that regard, because there's a lot of people that don't have that kind of support. And that's where being affiliated with a team of people, I said it's an individual sport, but my coaches happen to be a husband and wife team, and they help a lot of different people, male and female, with their competition prep. And we kind of became our own little family, which was another area or opportunity for people to support you, because they're like-minded. They have a common goal, so it's kind of a no-brainer there. They're striving for the same thing, and there's enough encouragement to go full circle around. You have other people who you can also be that encourager to for the same thing. So for people who don't have a strong family and friend level of support, that would be my recommendation, is find those like-minded people and really get in that kind of community, no matter what your goal is, so that you're setting yourself up for success and can also bring it full circle and help others get there too.
It sounds like you're very good at setting goals and then following through on them, no matter how difficult it is. Was there a part to play in the fact that you had put that goal out there, that people knew what you wanted to achieve? There wasn't anything half-hearted about what you were doing, it sounds to me, that you had actually communicated that your end goal was to be a professional bodybuilder.
Right. Well, I think when I first communicated it, my first part of the goal was just to get to the stage and see what it was all about. But to your point, putting it out there, saying it, you're hearing yourself say it, but you've also now, other people you've kind of set a level of expectation, not to put pressure on yourself, but maybe a little bit, just to help you stay motivated, because, hey, you've put it out there. So people want to share in your experience and in your journey. So yeah, I think definitely speaking it out there is also a part of the cliche, speaking it into existence, right? So that definitely helps with the drive and determination to get there.
So if you could give one piece of advice to a woman in midlife and beyond who's feeling physically unfit and really lacking in motivation, what would it be?
Well, first I would tell them this. I would share a quote from Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And starting is really the hardest step for a lot of people in whatever that end goal is. So before you can even get started, though, my suggestion would be this: sit down with whatever beverage of choice helps you relax and really do a little soul searching and say to yourself, what do I really want? What do I really want in this life that I've been given? But that's not the end question. Then you're going to say to yourself, why do I really want that? Why does it matter? I mean, you got to go through a series of whys, get deep with the why, right? And then you get into hows and whens. Like, how's it going to make me feel? Let's not even put if, when, there's the first when I achieve this, how will it make me feel? How is that going to make me feel as a person? How is that going to help me inspire other people? How is that going to contribute to this world in a positive impact? Those kind of things. So then you're setting it outside of just yourself, which is really a freeing component of it, right? And you know that, hey, if I can achieve this, it's going to be an example for others as well. So how's it going to help pay it forward, not just help me individually? And once you come up with those scenarios, and also, you know, how am I going to plan this? How am I going to get the help to achieve this? And then when I face a hurdle, when I face adversity, because it's going to happen, it's not a matter of if, that is definitely a matter of when, how am I going to address that? You know, we know what our weaknesses are, but maybe we don't know so much what our strengths are. And there's an exercise I went through that I found online, is actually through Gallup, the people that do Gallup polling. And it's a book called Now Find Your Strength.
The Strengths Finder.
It is
fantastic. I love that.
But what I love about it is it's not, and I'm all about a good personality test. I've taken them all. And those are really good to get to know more about yourself. But this isn't like a personality test, and it sounds like you're aware of it. It really is more about how you're wired, and the whole premise, which makes so much more sense to me, is you're strong naturally. You've been blessed with these natural born talents for a reason. I think they're a strong indicator of what your purpose in this life is, what you're wired to fulfill. But it doesn't mean you're an expert at it yet, but you naturally are able to do these certain things. So why not make those stronger? Let's not try to make you stronger in a weak area. That doesn't make that much sense. Plus, we all have different strengths for a reason. So we need one another. So we can lean on one another. So we can have that sense of community and help each other become stronger together. So finding out what those strengths are, matching that up to your why, and then your how and how you're going to plan to do it, is a great way to motivate yourself, but also really motivate yourself towards something that is worth it to you and to the world.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, in my members club, I actually did a little video on the Strengths Finder, because I think it's so powerful. I love it. I've got the book on my shelf behind me.
Yeah, okay.
And I love that concept of, you know, exactly, don't work at your weaknesses, work at your strengths, build on what you're already innately good at. And yes, absolutely, that will guide you to your purpose. It will guide you to, you know, what you're going to thrive at. And then if you thrive at it, you're going to feel good about it, aren't you?
Right.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. So,
well, and the other part of that too, which is really cool, especially if you're building a team, is that the whole analysis, when you get your results from having taken the quiz or whatever, right, is who you should partner up with. So you're going to know what types of people are going to be best to come alongside you to help you in those weaker areas, which is really another way to make you stronger. So that was really a cool component of it too.
I'm definitely going to go back and remind myself about my strengths, because at the moment I can only remember one of them. I'm thinking, oh gosh, what are the others? I need to go and have a look. Oh no, I can remember two now. They're going to come back to me slowly. I know now.
Right. Well, hey, and what I did after I went through that is I made, you know, I got on some kind of graphics, you know, Canva or something, and put together my top 5. I mean, I wanted to know all of them. I think there's 34 categories, but obviously you want to kind of focus on your top 10, but I brought it down to 5. And I made a little screensaver of it. So again, a way to have a different kind of visual trigger, so that just becomes mindful. So that's just another way it's subliminal. If you have it as a screensaver, you're not necessarily focusing on it every time it flashes before your eyes, but your eyes are still taking it into your brain. that's another way to stay motivated and be focused on what your strengths are, and keep yourself motivated.
Brilliant. I love that. So what do you like about your time of life?
Well, I am still in a transition. Not sure I mentioned this yet, but I did exit the corporate world a year and a half. Probably it'll be 2 years in October. And it was all good. It was really just answers to prayer, because I had reached a point in my life where, or with that company, I just wasn't growing professionally nor personally anymore. And it felt really stagnant, and that's not a happy place for me. And I really didn't realize the impact to the lengths of what I was really feeling deeper emotionally until I was in the midst of it. But thankfully, and people be like, you're thankful that they eliminated your role? Yes, because my prayers were this: I want to become miraculously eligible for the max package for a, severance situation. And I want to get my bonus for whatever time I've worked at the company. And I don't want to have to ask for either one. And I kid you not, that is exactly how it happened. By them eliminating my role, it made me eligible for the max package. And I had such a great boss that he worked out the bonus situation, and that's how it went. So it allowed me to exit with some padding for at least a year, and continue to build motivation. And I also was personal training and doing group fitness instructing as another side hustle. So now the two side hustles of fitness and the motivation are my main hustles, and I've been given the freedom to pursue those. So that I like. And then there's a part that's really scary. And then there's a part where I'm like, oh my gosh, there's different aspects that aren't necessarily as fun, because I like to just design it, conceptualize it. And then if somebody else wants to get the systems together to make it all happen, that would be great. But when you're your own solopreneur, you've kind of got to do it all.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So the freedom, the flexibility is good. I feel like I'm really hustling kind of hard, and it's a lot going on, and I'm still trying to find my way. But at least I know that I'm on that path to achieving what I decided was what I really want.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Magnificent Midlife podcast. It would really help me get the message out and inspire more women to feel empowered in midlife and beyond if you left me a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you may be listening to this. And share this podcast with your friends too. If you'd like to take your own midlife up a notch, why not join our members club? It's where you'll find the strategies, support and connection you need to live the very best next phase of life. You can find out more and get the show notes for this episode at magnificentmidlife.com. Help me change the world one midlife woman at a time.